Well, hello everyone at the Be Awesome Network. I'm Lori and I'm so excited to be speaking with Bob Baker today. Bob, how are you today?
I'm doing great. It's so great to connect with you, and looking forward to sharing whatever we talk about here with the group.
Absolutely. Well, one of the things I love about, we've already chatted a little bit. One of the things I love about you is that you're really focused on being heart centered
Hmm.
and positivity. Like you have almost like a track record of being positive and helping others. So I just would love it if you'll introduce yourself. Where in the world are you? And
So
then, yeah.
yeah, so I'm born and raised in St. Louis, Missouri, right here in the heartland along the Mississippi River, and I've never lived anywhere else. I've traveled other places, but I guess I have some pretty deep roots here in St. Louis. Um, and yeah, the Be Awesome Network is like the perfect. I mean, they really spoke to me when a friend invited me. It was just only a couple of weeks ago that I joined, and it's like, oh, this is we are kindred spirits here, and it's amazing what you. I just want to compliment you on what you've done to grow this group, um, and um, and yeah, you might say over the last several years in particular, I often refer to myself as being in the inspiration business. Would you like me to tell you how that plays out in the world? So
Yes, absolutely. Yes, I
so
love
my
it.
biggest claim to fame in recent years is that I have a YouTube channel. Currently, it just hit 420,000 subscribers, like total of like 75 million views in the entire time I've had the channel. And it features affirmations and positive self-talk using my voice. It's not AI. I don't hire voice talent. It's actually my voice. You can tell I have kind of a semi-pro setup here, at home. And so I have probably close to 1,000 or several hundred affirmation videos on a whole variety of topics. And of course, you know what affirmation. I mean, I'm sure everybody in the Be Awesome Network is probably uses affirmations at some point or another. There's those positive self-talk statements that we tell ourselves to lift our mood and to redirect our thoughts to what we want to achieve and how we want to feel. And I use them myself in my personal life for decades. And so it was a little odd because actually to be I think we also talked about before you went live here that I've been active online since the 90s. I've actually been on YouTube for 19 of the 20 years of its existence. I published my first video in May of 2006. But it wasn't until 8.5 years ago when I started doing the affirmation stuff, and I had already had a pretty decent online following because I'd published a lot of books. Actually, I'm really excited that I just published my 17th book just recently. I'm talking about physical books. I don't count ebooks or audiobooks, but 17 physical books since 1993. And this most recent one is actually an abundance journal. But so that first decade that I was on YouTube, I was talking to musicians because I'm also a longtime musician, singer, songwriter, played in a ton of bands, recorded a lot of mostly positive music. Actually, you would, you know, um, and um, and so I was really leery when I first started posting these affirmations, thinking, "Oh my God, I'm gonna alienate my followers. They're gonna think I've gotten all woo woo on them." But I had no pushback at all. I mean, in fact, a lot of those people followed me into this new affirmation era of my life. And even though I had modest success, I probably had tens of thousands of followers as an author prior to doing affirmations. Now, 10 times that. Now I'm just reaching like hundreds of thousands of people around the world who many of them every day will cue up my voice because I kind of specialize in morning affirmations. And I never saw this chapter of my life coming. It just came from like following the energy, and playing and experimenting with how I can serve people and make a living doing it. And I'm really I'm just so blessed that I'm in this good place to be able to do good in the world, which is all about your mission too, right?
Absolutely. Yes, I know. That's why when you told me what you were doing, I was like, oh my gosh, you are so in alignment with what I am aiming to do with the Be Awesome Network. And I recently did start listening to morning affirmations and evening affirmations. So, would you just give us a little sample of what you might say in your affirmations? Like,
Sure. And it took me a while to figure out my niche within the, even because affirmations is a niche in itself, but even within that, yeah, there are people like a guy named Jason Stevenson focuses on like evening and like, yeah, those long 8 hour affirmations while you sleep. I found that my sweet spot was morning affirmations, and in the kind of like 10 to 15 minute range. The people for don't maybe have an hour to spend meditating or whatever, but a quick hit. And so I also discovered that the, some popular topics, abundance, no surprise. Everybody wants to make more money, experience more prosperity, but also things like gratitude, success, and all that. And so the way that I structure the most popular ones, I've played with the formatting of them too, but the most popular ones, the format that works the best is it'll have a topic, I'll do a brief introduction, and then I'll speak each affirmation and then allow space for the person to repeat it back to themselves, either in their mind or out loud. And the more you do that with energy and enthusiasm, the more ingrained, the more powerful they can be. But maybe I'll just share a couple of my like general all-purpose affirmations. Like this one that I really like is, today I look for and appreciate the good. And this combines two things. One, it sets an expectation that there's good out in the world and I'm going to look for it. I know it's there. I'm going to find it. I'm going to observe it. And when I see it, I'm going to express gratitude. So today I look for and appreciate the good. It's just a good general one. Another one that I actually turned into a song was, I'm grateful for all that I have and I'm ready for more. you know?
Right.
Because gratitude, I think, is the foundation of all personal growth and personal development. It's great. I certainly have aspirations. I've been to goal setting and looking ahead to the life I want to create and build upon. But quite often, when people focus on that, they sort of downplay or frustrated with where they are. So I think being grateful for where you are in life, whatever your circumstance is, there's always something to be grateful for, and you can simultaneously still aspire to more. And I think having that, hitting those from both angles is really powerful. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I love what you said about not being dissatisfied with where you are. It's okay to look forward, but it kind of defeats the point, right? If you're
Right.
looking forward and wanting something and then you kind of are begrudged about what you do have. So I love that.
Yeah. I mean, there's certainly something to be said for the power of like discontent. Like if there's something about your current situation that you're not happy with, that's actually an indication of what you do want. Well, I don't like this aspect of my life. Well, what's the opposite of that? That's where like, it kind of points the way to the life that you want to ideally lead, or the person that you want to be. But as long as you don't like live in this world of you being a victim, it's okay to identify that stuff without making it part of your story. I guess is what I like way I like to phrase it. Just use it as fuel to head in that better direction. And of course,
Yeah.
as you know, you can set a specific goal, but it's not a straight line getting there. It's zigzags, all over the place. But as long as you're moving towards something that's empowering, yeah, a life that you want to lead, then I think it's a good thing instead of just wallowing in what's wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. So what is your backstory? What kind of led you to want to do these kind of things? Because
Yeah. Yeah. I'll give you the Reader's Digest version, as they say. Is Reader's Digest? I guess it's still a thing. I don't know, but people still make those references. So the first 15 years of my life, I'm 65 now. I just recently turned 65. So the first 15 years of my life, I was like an incredibly shy kid, socially awkward. I had a stutter. I was, the least likely person to say, "Oh, Bob's going to do great things and reach a wide audience." People would have laughed and said, "No, not this guy," because I was like kind of wallflower. I was not the class clown or I mean, I hardly. So I was raised by a single mom who did a great job raising me, but very like lower middle class, upbringing. But in my like junior year of high school, I was going through a rough time, and this friend of mine said, "Hey, I can tell you're struggling a little bit. There's a book that I read that really was really helpful that might help you too." And it was I have a feeling you're familiar with Wayne Dyer.
Yeah.
who passed away like 5 or 6 years ago. But it was his first book called Your Erroneous Zones. And it was the first like self-help book I'd ever read. First time I'd ever been exposed to this type of material. And it literally changed my life, my whole perspective, and it set me on a path. And basically I realized that all these feelings of insecurity and lack of self-worth, I just figured at the up until that point, I thought, well, this is what I'm thinking. It's who I am. I'm just an insecure person. I don't have confidence. I can't talk to whoever
Mm.
to people confidently. And Wayne, in this book, I pointed out, like, no, those are just thoughts that you're having. It's not truly who you are. You can change your thoughts, which will change your feelings, which will then affect your actions, which will eventually affect the results and the circumstances of your life. And it was like so eye-opening. So, oh my God, it's a whole new world here. And so that started me on a personal growth journey. Another thing that kind of brought me out of my shell was I was always attracted to music, also attracted to writing too, even in grade school. But I got my first electric guitar when I turned 15, and soon was playing in local bands, or even at the high school level. And suddenly, instead of being this like kid that was like a nerdy kid that got picked on and nobody really paid attention to, suddenly I was the guitar player in a rock band, and suddenly I started getting some respect from the guys. Girls noticed me for the first time ever. It's like this is eye-opening. And so it was something that sort of gave me some security and confidence being the musician. It's been part of my identity ever since then. I continue to I don't play out in bands like I used to, but I continue. Music is a big part of my life, creating it and playing it. And I've also, in recent years, been putting out more like affirmation songs where I'll take affirmations and sing them over a driving beat because I was weaned on rock and roll, so I'm a rock and roll guy from way back. So I like high energy music, not the typical like new agey slow. There's a place for that, but this is not my genre. I like more upbeat stuff. And when you sing, saying the affirmations in your head is great. Saying them out loud is even better. Singing an affirmation to a melody that kind of gets hooked, you like that you can like it comes back to you when you least expect it. You start singing it to yourself, and then you take it to a whole nother level when you sing and dance to the affirmation at the same time. Then you're totally like you're embodying the whole thing. That's why I love creating in that way, and it's something that brings the wholeness of who I am to this inspiration business. So
Wow. I
so
love that.
yeah.
I love that. It also singing, also, I know humming, you're using your vocal cords
Mm.
and it can really reset your nervous system, right? So I can imagine that moving, singing, saying the right
Oh
thing,
yeah.
doing the right thing. Yeah.
You can't help it. Yeah. And the musical affirmations aren't everyone's cup of tea. The people that like them really like them, and they get up in the morning or they dance with their kids. I get like so many comments about it. And so I'm wanting to, it's one thing I want to do, yeah, this year and next, and is to create more of those, too. But yeah, so do you have you used affirmations in your life, Lori? And do you have any like favorite ways of doing them or have positive self-talk?
Yeah, I just have like a little bit of knowledge on resetting your nervous system, and I've recently got into positive affirmations. I have always been a positive person, and so I didn't feel like I needed uplifting really because I
Right.
have a natural tendency to be positive, but went through a really hard time and I just hit the floor, right? So I needed something to lift me up. So yeah, I've kind of created that habit of turning toward positive affirmations, and it really
Yeah.
has made a difference. So, when you're going to bed and you're wanting to calm down and you're wanting not to think about all the things about the day, one of the meditations I've listened to is Louise Hay, and you probably
Oh,
are familiar with her.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I love Louise Hay. So as you know, so yeah, You Can Heal Your Life was one of her early books that became a bestseller, and she started Hay House, the publishing company, and
Mhm.
Wayne Dyer, was one of their was a Hay House author. In addition to like Joe Dispenza and Abraham Hicks, Marianne Williamson is on there. They have Deepak Chopra's, so they have like this stellar lineup of people that I've yeah, I've been reading and following for years, and I can mention this because it's a little feather in my cap. A little less than 2 years ago, I got a connection with Hay House, and I'm not an author, a Hay House author. They haven't published any books of mine, but 13 of my affirmations you can find in their Empower You subscription app. It's like you get access to their whole um, library of audio, and I'm in there right next to Louise and Wayne Dyer and all these people. It's such a thrill to have that association. You know, I'm also on the New York Times just had this thing about meditation apps, and there's one called Insight Timer. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's one of the it was their favorite. It was their number one meditation app, and I've been a teacher in within Insight Timer for the past 5 years. So I've got my affirmations there. So like while YouTube was the thing that got me like into the
Yeah.
public, reaching people, it's my still my primary platform. Since I've been online for so long, I think I was pretty smart in thinking, where else can I distribute this same material that I'm creating here, in audio format in particular, and distribute as far and wide. And so I'm always looking for new opportunities to spread this message, And so
Absolutely.
so many places you can find me, it continues to grow, you know.
Yeah, I love that for you. And what a mission to be on. And have you found that by doing this and by speaking all of these wonderful truths and by helping other people that you get a lot out of it?
I certainly do. Yeah, as far as my own affirmation practice, to be honest, I go in and out of it. So for me sitting down doing affirmations, but I think by I may not do it every day or every week, but I think by creating them, I
Mhm.
can't help but absorb the things that I'm creating. And so I do through osmosis or whatever, I do absorb that. Um, I know these interviews don't go really super long. One thing I want to mention that we briefly discussed before we went live was that what I didn't maybe mention here is that I mentioned the 17 books. What I may not have mentioned was that my earliest books were on music marketing, and then they evolved into helping people in creative fields like authors and artists, writers, and so on, performers. It was geared toward helping creative people like build an audience and kind of because I was living that message. I was practicing what I preached by reaching people with my books and my message for creative folks. And so I spent a good 15 to 18 years in this niche of music marketing that then widened to again include creative people of all kinds. And then when the YouTube era came along, and I was getting so much attention for it, I kind of just focused on my energy into this positivity that we've been talking about and kind of not turned my back on, but just kind of gotten away from that, helping people with the marketing and growing an audience and all that good stuff. But that's one thing that um if I was just to share like what I've been doing over the past year, where I'm moving toward is kind of melding both like mindset and marketing, meeting purpose, passion, and profit. How do you like that for an alliteration? And so I'm starting to create things that, yeah, will help people who I call it heart-centered business people, purpose-driven creators, people that really want to do good in the world. But they're frustrated by growing an audience, getting attention. Everybody posts things, and it is hard. It's a challenge to get people to notice what you're doing online in particular. And so I'm creating more resources and moving in the direction where I'm helping people do that through programs and courses and even some one-on-one coaching and so on. And if any of that the members are in the St. Louis area, I recently started doing these free monthly meetups called the Heart Centered Meetup, where I wanted to create an in-person. This is in person. It's not on Zoom yet, but I wanted to create one that had all the elements of a meetup that I thought were missing from a lot of the other networking meetings that I was going to. That they're just like so like I don't know business oriented or referral oriented or whatever. I wanted to create something that was fun and interactive where I didn't like bombard people with information. I would introduce like a topic every month related to growing an audience, monetizing your gifts and talents. And we just kind of dive deep through breakouts, group discussions, and I have some, fun warm up exercises. Another thing I just want to quickly mention, and another passion of mine, is I am also an improv comedy instructor and performer. And so,
Okay, I love
it,
that.
and so I love bringing some of those activities. I don't call it improv. We're not doing scenes or anything, but there's some warm up exercises that I get people doing early on in the meeting. We stand in a circle and just do some fun things, so that when it comes time to discuss the business stuff and interact with each other, they're already warmed up. They're in a good mood. They're connecting. They're open. As opposed to a lot of meetings that I go to where everybody's just like doing it's time to introduce yourself and everybody's cold and they're stammering and I think you know
Mhm.
what I mean. you know.
Yes, I've been to some meetings like that that
Yeah.
you stand up and you give your, 2-minute pitch.
Or even like
Uh,
usually it's 30 seconds, which is like I gotta squeeze a lot into 30 seconds with all the stuff that I do. But
yeah.
anyway, yeah. So I'm just trying to share the whole big picture here, but it's been a great adventure, and I really and I share this stuff online, not and I know a lot of people just look at all the things that I do, and I don't want to intimidate, like overwhelm people. Like going, I couldn't do that. Bob does so much. There's no way. I really I hope to serve as an example of what's possible when you just follow your passion and combine a little marketing and business savvy with it. If you want to make a living from those things, it's possible. There's activity and work involved, of course, but combining that mindset with some smart ways of reaching people, you can make a difference and either supplement your income or maybe even support yourself doing it, if that's your goal, you know?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I love that. And so now that you're diving into the kind of translating all the things that you've done over your whole lifetime
Yeah.
into these nuggets that you're giving everyone else, can you please just share maybe your favorite tip?
Sure. And so I know long ago I got tired of like updating my when I was actively publishing these marketing books, like having to update them. If I spent too much time on the internet and technology and current tools, they were outdated, because
Yeah.
sites change and new ones come along and so on. And so I found myself focusing more and more on timeless principles, meaning that while the technology, the tools, the apps, the gadgets may change, it's still humans that are using it and powering it. And humans continue to do what they've always done. And that's people want to be seen, heard, understood, right? They want to feel like they're amongst like-minded people. They want to be in a community of people who get them, you know, their quirks and all, and I like to embrace people, warts and all, and celebrate that instead of hiding it, right?
Mhm.
And so that's it. Like focus on don't get obsessed by the tools and like what time do I post and what kind of, like focus on human
Yeah,
connection. I think that's a really powerful one.
yeah.
And yeah, and don't lose sight of that. And it's always about well, I used to say with musicians, focus on fans. I will share this. There's two ways basically to market yourself or to create awareness of what you do online and offline too. There's one is one to many, a one to many approach where you're doing a shotgun approach, and this is everything from sending out an email to your list, posting a YouTube video, a podcast, something on Instagram or Facebook. Here, that's one to many. You're putting something out there hoping that your followers, somebody's going to see it, right?
Yeah.
And pray that they'll see it and respond, come to know you. And that's great. And then in the physical world, that would be print ads, radio ads, billboards. That's one to many approach. And
Mhm.
you want to do that, but that's more of a long-term approach. I think what's often overlooked is the one-to-one form of
Mhm.
communication. And that's always going to be the more powerful. And so after years of sitting here and me creating content and dispersing it through all these platforms, which I love doing, I realize that I've gotten away from the one-on-one. Uh, so I'm doing more personal outreach through text, emails, DMs, getting out to local networking events, which then led to me being inspired to start my own because I wasn't liking everything and so what you can't overestimate or under oh yeah, you can't overestimate, yeah, the power of one-on-one. And so in addition to this shotgun things you're doing, who can you reach out to
Mhm.
more personally, just to share what you're not to sell them necessarily, but just to start like I don't go to networking events to sell something. I really don't have a service. Really genuinely want to meet cool new people, and then I'll let them know about this free meetup that I have, and maybe someday they'll purchase something from me or do a coaching session or something. But it's not my primary motivators is to connect on a human level and be positive and inspire. Just in a conversation, you can have an influence on people because a lot of people focus on the thousands of people, the many, the many people I'm reaching online. But I serve that mission even in a one-on-one conversation with someone. I might say up something uplifting to them that'll make them feel better about what they're doing. So it works on
Yeah.
many levels.
Yeah, that's really great advice. I loved what you said about just being a human, because we're
Mhm.
so, especially now, and when AI is popping up, and sometimes you can't even tell, is that a real picture? Is that
Oh yeah.
a fake picture? And so just being human when you share online and just being yourself. And then also just trying to connect one on one, because it is difficult these days when we're all so kind of segregated and isolated to make those connections. So I love, that's very good advice.
Oh, good, good. I'm glad that resonated with you. Yay.
Well, Bob, what is the best way to reach out and basically connect with you? What is the best way if someone is listening to this and they really want to connect with you? How can they reach you?
Cool. So if you're interested in the YouTube channel, just go to, and my last name is Baker. Some people mistakenly say Barker. He was the game show host, but it's Bob Baker Affirmations on YouTube. And so you can find most of my work there. The website um, is bobbakerinspiration.com. I was able to get that. So it's kind of spells out what I do, right? So, and there's a contact form there too if you want to reach out. I have some free goodies that you get, for if you get on I have an email newsletter called The Abundant Life, which also kind of spells out what I'm at the spot, for encouraging people to live. So yeah, you can connect with me there and download some free gifts. And there's also a contact form there if you want to reach out directly and say, hey, have some of that one-on-one communication that we just talked about. That would be
Yeah,
great. I think
I
those are
love
the
that.
main ways. And then again, if you're in the Hey House app or the Insight Timer or Spotify, Apple Music, you can search for Bob Baker there, and you can find me in those platforms too. So I'll meet you where you are if you're if you're not a YouTube person.
I love that. Yes. And there are all kinds of platforms. So thanks for letting us know that you can be found all over. So, and
Yeah,
I actually did, you said Bob Barker whenever I first read your name. That's what I
I
thought,
know.
it was Bob Barker.
I've heard that my entire life.
You're like,
And he passed away like a few years ago, but people, I guess he's in the public consciousness, but that's great. The price is right.
exactly,
And
exactly. It was,
every now and then I'll just yell, "Come on down," because that was the big phrase, the announcer. So
I love it. I love it. Well, I can tell that you're such a joyful person. It doesn't surprise me that you work with comedy as well.
yeah, that was really cool. Are you familiar with the show Whose Line Is It Anyway? That
Yes.
Drew Carey used to host
I love Drew
years.
Carey. Yes.
I'll tell you another little feather in my cap. I About 10 years ago, I got to know Laura Hall, who was the keyboard, like the piano player. So every time they do musical improv, that's her playing the
Okay.
piano, and she's the music director of the show. It's no longer being recorded, but it had a long run. Anyway, I wrote all of my 17 books. Only one of them was a co-write, and it was one I wrote with Laura called The Improv Comedy Musician. And I got
Mm.
to fly out to LA, and I wasn't on the show or anything, but I was in the audience for one night. Actually, for me, that was like going to the improv mothership, actually being in the studio where they record it with Wayne Brady and Colin Mockery and all those people, right? They're in front of you. That was a real thrill. And so yeah, I just wanted to share that too for any yeah, and that's another like big value of mine. Yeah, positivity, inspiration, but also like laughter and humor, I think is something that we as adults just get away from, and it's a lot of things to be concerned about in the world, but you just can't carry the weight of the world on your shoulders all the time. We just need to lighten up every now and then, and it's physically, biologically healthy for you, to do
Yes,
that. So that's why one of the things I love about being involved in improv comedy and doing shows and having a whole room full of people just laughing at the things that we make up. It's really you're giving the gift of laughter. So and you can give that to yourself as well. You know,
I know. I know. I mean, everything you're saying, I'm just nodding my head this whole time.
like kindred spirits. I knew it even before we connected here. So I'm gonna have to get more
Absolutely.
involved with the group, yeah, too, and pop in there and interact more. I know I have some friends who are in there too, but I'm gonna get some more like-minded people, get to know some more like-minded people. So
Yeah, yeah. And I'm looking forward to you being on a networking event here in the Be Awesome Network as well.
yeah,
And they are fun. Don't worry.
yay! And you leave them once a month, is it or
I have two a month. I have one on usually on the second Wednesday of the month and the second Saturday of the month. So they're in the same
okay?
week, but
Okay,
Wednesday night, Saturday
I
morning.
signed up for one of them. It's on my calendar, but oh, good. I'll be able to. I'll see you again for that and meet some other cool people. I guess does
That's
everybody do
awesome.
a round of introductions on those in those situations too? Yeah, you got to
Yeah.
have your elevator pitch already so you make good use of time. Because
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. We usually have a really meaningful conversation. I don't know how it happens, but you get a bunch of awesome people together, and
yeah,
they say what they're passionate about. Really, is the first question. So whether they decide to say that they have a book or whatever, is their choice. But we usually a theme comes up, and we really get discussing some really important and fun topics. So I
that's awesome. May I ask how long the group has been in existence? The Be Awesome Network is. Did it start as a Facebook group, or did it start like locally in person? Or I know I probably shouldn't be turning the tables and interviewing you here, but you just tell me when to cut it off. But I'm just curious.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we just had our 1 year birthday.
Just one
So
year. Wow.
started June 14th of last year.
Wow.
And yeah, so this is my passion project. I wanted to, for the first time in my life, do something really that I wanted to do. I've always supported other people in their businesses and I'm a great cheerleader and I'm a great helper. And I've really helped other people kind of catapult their mission and vision. And I just decided that I wanted to kind of make a splash. So
Yeah.
I love gathering people. I love having this community and hearing from people like you and learning more and more about how to inspire one another. And I've learned so much in a year. It's been 280 something interviews. So it's just
Wow.
been amazing. Yeah. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, because like I said, I've been online for a long time, been on Facebook since 2007, and I've run different Facebook groups, but always they kind of like it takes, yeah, I never did figure out the magical formula, and maybe I was just distracted by other things, but you figured out something that's working. Because it's very engaging. People are engaged, and these interviews are great. I've never heard of anyone doing interviews with new members like this. So congratulations to you for just really finding innovative ways to make this work.
Thank you. Well, I bought a program to teach me how to do this. And
Ah,
so it's called the Catapult program. And now I actually started Awesome Unlocked, which I help other people do the same thing I did. And they get to kind of broadcast here in the group and get some exposure as well. So yeah, so it's been a lot of fun. And I love working with people, helping people, like I said. I love it when someone has success. There's just
hmm.
nothing better than there's nothing better than watching someone else have success, I think. So
Oh yeah. No, that's what lights me up is just getting those comments about how my affirmations or music or whatever or a night of comedy, whatever it is, has improved somebody's life. That's the fuel that keeps us all going, right?
yeah, absolutely. And we need each other. So it
Yeah.
just makes perfect sense. Well, is there anything else that you would like to mention that we haven't touched on today, Bob?
No, I think it's just continue to looking at your the name of the group behind you there and your background. Just continue to be awesome. And so a lot of times when people like us are like spreading positivity, you know, there are people. I think we need to acknowledge, like I never tell anybody to not ignore or to not acknowledge that life has ups and downs. There are frustrations. Just because you're positive doesn't mean that you
Mm,
won't feel frustration at times, or something's going to get you down, and that's okay. That's part of the ebb and flow of life. And so acknowledge those ups and downs and those frustrations when you feel them or experience them, but you can always like have your set point, like maybe like your emotional or attitudinal set point could be one that leans toward positivity. So where you don't get stuck in this revol this broken record of what's wrong, because we can easily be, you know, get caught into that. And there's this thing called, have you ever heard of this term called confirmation bias? It's a psychological term where our
yes.
brains will
Yep.
go to justify, it'll look for evidence to justify a belief that we have or a thought that we have. And that's why affirmations work.
Mhm.
And so if you affirm these things, I'm a positive person, things I'm going to find the opportunity here, whatever it is, your brain will go looking for for evidence to back up what you're. And the same thing on the opposite. If you think the world is a dog eat dog world and everyone's out, you'll see one example after another to be frustrated and disappointed. So why not choose an overall positive outlook while acknowledging the challenges of life? I think we can do both, and so just continue to be awesome and shine your light in the world, be your authentic self, you know, and find ways to express that through whatever means is right for you. So
Yeah,
that's,
thank you so much. I love that. You're so right too. I call that the upward spiral instead
mm,
of the downward spiral because the more you think positively, the more it kind of start to attract positive things. And
yeah.
then you said it earlier, when you start to kind of tell yourself something and then you really believe it, then your
Hmm.
your your body language changes, your mindset changes, your actions change. So I'm glad that you're doing what you're doing, and I'm so honored that you're here with us today.
Thank you, Laura. It's great to meet you, and I'm gonna obviously have to get more active in the group.
Yes, please do. Please do.
All
Well,
right.
and I just want to say to those of you who are listening, and Devin, I saw your comments. You are listening and you said, this was an incredible interview. Thank you so much. And be sure to connect with Bob. After we finish the live, Bob, I'll have you drop some links down below in the comment section so people
Okay.
can find your YouTube easily and
Okay.
find your website. And yeah, and that would be super helpful. So when people can connect with you, they can actually connect with you right now because you're tagged in this post. So if you're out there and you're listening and you want to connect, go ahead and just hover over his name. You can message him right away.
Yeah. All right. I look forward to that. Yes.
I love it. I love it. Okay. Well, I want to just end this amazing interview, as Devin said, with just another thought that I always want to tell everyone who listens here in the Be Awesome Network. My promise is that if you come here, you will hear that you are awesome. And you are, because you are the only you. There's no one on this planet like you. You have a specific reason for being here, and you are here to inspire yourself, inspire others, and when we all do that, we are awesome together, right?
Absolutely. Be yourself. Everyone else is already taken.
Exactly. I
Right.
love it. I love it. Well, thank you, Bob, so much for being here with us. And thank you guys for watching. And we will see you next time. And don't forget, you are awesome. Okay.